Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And Golly, and Reigns, and a goal! And they have done it! Oh, and driven in! And number 11, Matthew Hanlon, followed that in. Wilson will strike it! And it's gone all the way through! Oh, there you go! Not the cleanest of contacts, but Louis John scores for a third game running. And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out first division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. But the whistle goes now. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United in the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to Sutton United Talk Time on podcast, the delayed Sunday service. Joining me today is Sarah and Claire. First of all, hello, welcome. What did you think of the new intro?
Very professional, Mike.
I liked it, although not. I think I preferred your previous music to it. That the first time I heard the last one really gave me shivers. Was really like, this is exciting. So I don't know, put quite the same dramatics to it. I'm sorry, I'm bigging you up there.
I did the other one. A professional did this last one. So. I like the little sort of choiry bit. I was like, going to pretend I'd recorded you lot on the on the terraces. Go, yeah, honestly, it's you. But I'll get some more feedback from others. So Damien, if you are listening, that's 50-50. Don't worry, you're all right. You're not fired yet, mate. So Sarah, you've been on before a couple of times now, so you've had the Who Are Your business. Claire, you're very lucky because I still haven't got a soundboard, so you don't have to put up with a chant of Who Are You. But tell us, who are you?
I'm Claire. Clayballs on all of the socials and Loffers on Gandemonium. I've been a Sutton supporter probably, I'd say all my life. Came to games very infrequently, I would say, probably when I was very little with my dad and my brothers, and then probably regularly since my early teens. So probably had a season ticket for about 20 years, I'd say. Most of you probably know my brother, who's the club's photographer, Paul. So I've been coming for what feels like forever now. And genuinely never thought I would see the day that we were playing football league. So it's been a magical journey with some very epic lows and amazing highs at the same time.
Absolutely, and Sarah, you said very similar a couple of weeks ago. It's still all of us. I see. Obviously, I follow you guys, and you follow me on the socials. Every time someone says, "Oh, how are Sutton fans feeling?" We don't know. We're not really sure. We've never had this before. You both at Bradford?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you?
No, not for me.
No, you weren't. No, you were ill.
I was
yes.
meditating.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I was going to mention that at some point that Sarah provided a basket of goodies to Claire for like a little sniffle, and there's my cough going on for like 16 years.
I mean, a little sniffle. I had COVID, my friend. So.
Oh, come on. A minor sniffle. Don't you read social media? It's all a scam. It doesn't.
You've got to bear in mind that I'm not Santa, so if I don't have your address, I'm not going to drop it back.
Do you know what? When I actually said it, I think I did say, yeah, I'm joking. I don't know.
You know what? Any excuse for me, it doesn't take much to send me into emergency baking mode. So any excuse to bake something.
I saw the girls' gingerbread houses, and I got a little sugar spike, and I was like, I've got a doctor's appointment next week. I can't do this. Close everything down. Sorry, football.
Yes.
So I left Bradford a couple of weeks ago, Sarah. But what was it like being in that huge stadium?
When they've got the sort of really, really, really big side of the ground, sort of big, massive L-shaped stand. And I looked at that and I thought, that's bigger than Arntide ground. What are we doing here? What are we doing playing league matches here? This is ridiculous. Still, we get moments like, you know, when we got promoted, and we were all saying for ages, it just hasn't sunk in, it hasn't sunk in. I think in a way it still hasn't. We still get those moments, don't we, from time to time, and we're like, oh, what is this, Sutton United?
It's things like on the news, and they're talking about the football results, and they're saying, "Oh, now League Two, Sutton United." You know, sorry, what? What did they just? Why are we on the telly news? What's going on there? That's rubbish.
It just feels so surreal, absolutely surreal. Because it just never. When people say, "Oh, like, how do you feel?" and I'm like, I don't know, because I never expected to experience this ever, and everything. Even I find it really hard to be disappointed or upset when we don't win, because I'm a bit like, well, we shouldn't be here. Like, it just doesn't feel real. But we should be here. We've completely earned our place. It just feels a bit fantasy.
It does, and we're all sort of thinking ahead to the Bradford game, and it was all kind of you know, we've had a few injuries recently. We've struggled a bit, and the idea of going to Bradford City and coming back with a point, it's bizarre, isn't it? And we could have won that game. We could have had it, but you know, the way things went, it's football, isn't it?
I mean, I get what you're saying, Claire. We shouldn't be here, but there's that little bit of disappointment, like the Bradford game. You have that little, oh, we should have won that.
Well, Newport.
But it's not because we're giving it all the big one. It's just we've seen these players and we know what they can do, and that's where the little disappointment comes in. Is they could have done it, but then you get your other words will come which head on go, this is mad, what are we doing? How dare we even
with Newport, because we've played them at non-league level before.
Yeah, we
played them at step 2 before, so it doesn't seem like a big deal playing Newport.
Yeah,
but being 2-0 up against 10 men and then losing was
a big.
We're here to talk about that game. So.
Yeah, that's all right. And then again, the other madness is this whole thing that I'm sure you caught, the whole takeover thing of it's either going to be Bradford or Sutton.
Well, we knew it wasn't going to be us.
It's not going to be Sutton.
Sorry, Sutton United. Shareholder or anything.
Well, I have vague memories, and I've told people this loads of times, so I hope it's even remotely true. Is was it the Carshalton guy, Dupree, tried to buy us, and he offered to put a load of money in, and we said, yeah, lovely, you can have a seat on the board. And he was like, no, I want to buy the club. And they were like, no, you can have that seat on the board. That's it. So I'm wondering if you get the Euro Millions, you want to put 100 million in, and if Bruce can go, lovely, here's your seat. It's your £100 million seat. Enjoy it.
I hadn't heard that. I just heard he was told to sing his herb.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the same thing, isn't it?
But yeah, just reading those kind of stories is insane about something that we had it a few weeks ago with Matt going to join Charlton and all this other just what is this rubbish?
It's so bizarre, really, really bizarre. Does it also mean that, like, come transfer deadline day, that we all have to stand outside the ground and act like crazy people now? Is that something we have to do?
Well, no, because the people who stand outside the ground, they shout they hate Palace, don't they? I honestly, I hope the guy took it in the spirit I meant, but I genuinely was like, that is some proper petty grudge holding, and I was applauding it, because a chant at a cup draw from 4 or 5 years ago, it's like, I can't remember what people said 3 weeks ago, let alone 4 years ago. But poor man, he's obviously got very little to look forward to in life. But anyway, this Harrogate wasted a good 9 minutes there. Well done, Mike. So on the Harrogate match, you did make it in the end, didn't you, Claire?
I did.
You did, yeah.
Snuck in and hit the back out of the way. It was my second day of freedom, and it did feel slightly surreal, having spent 10 days in isolation, to be surrounded by that many people. So, I hid away and didn't make my presence known, really, to anyone. So I apologise to anyone who thinks I snubbed them by not saying hello.
But I don't care. I had more people talking to me as well.
People talk to you, just stop doing a podcast.
I know. It's like people think I'm sociable now.
So you want people to talk to you like on your own terms, on your podcast, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's fine, that's fine. I'll never speak to you again.
Chalmers last week was saying, he sort of said, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention my brother was chatting to you at the under-18s game. And I was like, oh, right. And he said, yeah, he said hello. And I was like, I swore I thought he was someone else. So he was talking to me and I was like, you don't know who I am. You think I'm someone else. So I was just being really nice and polite. And it's like, Paul was like, no, he knew. Okay. Anyway, what did we think of Harrogate? How do we enjoy the match? What stuck
It
out?
wasn't a classic, was it? It wasn't. You know, we've had worse matches. It wasn't a classic.
Well,
I think it just brings home the importance of those narrow wins.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the most exciting game of football to watch. But I don't think Harrogate played badly. I think we just restricted the opposition, which is really important and says a lot about our abilities, to be honest. But 3 points was I just felt slightly scrappy in a slight way.
If you can, yeah, I agree with you there. If you can play in such a way that's not spectacular but still grind out those results, then that's if you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think
that's more important, isn't it?
A few of the papers were saying the Matt likes to win ugly. I was like, well, no, I think he said he doesn't mind winning ugly, which is slightly different, but whatever. I actually, strangely for me, I didn't think they were offering a huge amount. I thought once we took the lead, we were just kind of going through them. Not that sounds harsh, going through the motions, but we were in control of the game, and I always did think that we could have stepped it up a little bit more if they started coming back into it. So I thought it was a nice solid 1-0. Just okay, move on to the next one, not the next one because we don't know when that's going to be, but move on. Yeah, it was a meh game, but 3 points is 3 points, and moves us ever closer to third.
I think it's easier to kind of notice when your strikers are playing spectacularly well than it is when your defence is. And I think our defence is in a good place at the moment. And particularly shout out to John Barden, who's been getting better and better and better and better. And I think he's having a fantastic season, to be honest. And we were talking about him the other day, and we all kind of agreed that he's kind of sneaking his way up into my favourite player list. He's the sort of player in the position he plays in that you tend to notice better. You tend to notice more if they're not playing well. If they make mistakes, it can make a massive impact on the game. But if they just do their job and get on with it, it doesn't necessarily stick out. And I think actually, another thing I was saying the other day, we're used to being non-league supporters, and we used to like swapping ends at half time and going to the end that our team is kicking towards. We don't do that anymore. And I find that, I don't know about you guys, but I find that I'm noticing a bit more about what our defence is doing these days than I used to.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think our back line as well is just really, really well organised. I think Saturday is a kind of a real demonstration of that in a way that the opposition possession didn't really equate to them having any real clear-cut choices. And if there was any kind of chance, then Dino was right there to put it out. Yeah,
he's had a few of those.
Well, I thought the highlights the Sky highlights anyway. When I was watching them, I was like, that really made it look like we were under the cosh, and I didn't remember it being like that.
But the end, I think we were a little bit.
I think they sort of had a few. They livened up, I think, from 75 minutes onwards.
Well, they realised we were going away with no points, didn't they? And just go for it.
But I still even thought then, just they weren't. There was one great save from Dean. Not that his other saves weren't good, but there was one, I think, top right that he palmed away, which was a big save at the time. I'd actually forgotten about that when I wrote my list of pod players. So anyway, we're moving on. John Barden had a great game, and it segues onto the player of the day, the pod. Who please choose the same player. Who is your player of the day? I'm going to start with Sarah. Go on.
I think I might stick with Barden, actually. Yeah, I think I'll stick with him.
I'll tell you now, she's going to choose someone else.
I am going to choose someone else, actually, because Paul asked this question as we were, me and David, as we were leaving the ground. And David and I both said Dean Buzanis, thought he had a really great game. And there was just some really, the couple of chances that they did have just felt really safe pair of hands. He was right there and just kind of couldn't really fault him for it. So there were other people I could have said, sorry, Mike, but
That's all right. That's absolutely fine. However,
I could go along with Dino. He had a fantastic game.
well, do you want to go along with dinner? Because I did write down myself, and I put Smith/Barden.
Ooh.
So
we're like 50-50. We've only
yeah.
said one, aren't we?
So we could go with Barden unless you're going to change your mind. No, we'll go with Barden. Sorry, Claire, you're overruled.
outvoted. Sorry.
Don't be so rubbish next time.
1.5 votes.
It was close. It's closer than Brexit. So we were going to have Kaz from her game too. I will try and get you guys both on. I hope we can get the timing right for the sort of rerun of that. But was there any
playing Bristol Rovers?
Say that again.
Whenever we end up playing Bristol.
Yeah, whenever that is, some dark Tuesday night somewhere, which would mean we could, be on a Wednesday or something again. But was there anything you wanted to mention on that movement? Did you end up getting involved a bit more on it, or you still just following them? They didn't get in touch with any League Two clubs, did they?
They've said they've been in contact with Sutton United, but
yeah,
I don't know any more than that. I mean, obviously that's what we need Kaz to be on, isn't it?
Yeah, Dave. I emailed him a while back, and he kind of said, yes, it is definitely on our radar to something, but there's lots of things on our radar at the moment. So, but I both I've got 2 girls, so a lot of these things I stand there watching the match, and I can barely even know there's other people around me unless they're actually literally waving in my face. But after following, and I think Sarah, you tweeted something, and I ended up following Kaz from that. And then shortly after, she closed it all down because she was getting so much abuse. It's just constant mouth open, going, "That doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen." Because that's me thinking, I would never be in a position for doing that, and I'd like to think the best of people. Do you think that's part of the problem, that most blokes would like to think the best?
Sadly, is. I mean, and a lot of the time, you get people. I mean, women will come forward and tell us stories of the problems that we've had at football caused by discrimination, that sort of discrimination. And a lot of the time, the attitude is, "Well, I've never seen that happen," and therefore they don't really believe it. It's not really. I've had a few people tweeting things like, "Well, that's not really an issue anymore, is it? It doesn't really happen now." And I'm like, you don't see it happening because it's not happening to you. You don't notice it. Or, a lot of guys who give us rubbish, won't do it in front of other guys. And a lot of the time when they do, their friends will defend them. I wouldn't do it myself, but, that's just the way he is. That kind of thing. He gets kind of dismissed and sort of pushed away. And it's quite difficult just to demonstrate to people what the problem is and how big the problem is. And that's where I think her game too is doing a really great job, because it's kind of collating these stories and spreading the word and saying, look, this is a demonstration of what's actually happening. And you guys are saying there's nothing happening, but look at all these stories that we've collected and put together. So I think, what the way it's been set up and the things that they're doing is really, really good.
Yeah, I couldn't echo what Sarah says more. I think it's the being able to amplify voices is really, really important, because the stories in isolation don't necessarily get heard, and so when there's it's more powerful when there is lots of people standing up and telling their stories and saying things that have happened, and fighting against that kind of dismissal, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've done it as a dismissal, but not meaning as a no, you're wrong. It meaning no, he wouldn't have meant it. He wouldn't have meant that. And I'm not just talking on sexism. I'm talking like literally any ism. I don't like any ist at all. But I do know my natural default would be, oh no, I'm hoping you've misunderstood that or you misconstrued it. Obviously, I'm not stupid, and I trying not to do these things. But my default is to go, no, and I'm trying to pacify everything.
Others, it can be really subtle, really, really subtle. And if you haven't experienced it literally hundreds of times before, you're not going to recognise it.
Well, I was talking to my wife Sally about different things, and my mum actually, we were out yesterday, and she was like, "Yeah, what's worrying is how early girls understand it and have to deal with things." And again, I wouldn't, if I had two boys, none of this probably wouldn't be on my radar because my eyes wouldn't go to it. Now, I know there's some people that sort of have said on various different social medias, "Oh, you're only interested because it now affects you." Well, actually, that's true, because most things people only become interested when it affects them, because people wouldn't. It's just not there. You're not seeing it. But what can be done? I know that there's people calling them out. There was a guy, I can't remember what match he was at, but he was furious because he'd taken his girlfriend to the match for the first time in ages, and he was like, "We're at the away end, and she's there standing next to me, and some blokes walked past her and grabbed her ass." And he was like, because don't tell me this doesn't happen, because she was standing next to me when it happened. I know we don't own our girlfriends or wives or anything like that, but it's like she was standing clearly with me and someone still done it. So of course it happens, and especially people there alone don't have the backup of everyone else.
I think one of the things, what you said is if you had two boys, you wouldn't be something you think about because it doesn't necessarily affect you. But I would argue that having two boys, in some ways, it affects you more, because you should be bringing up your boys to know that that's not acceptable, and that's the educational piece behind it. Is knowing that, like, the behaviour that they see at football and that kind of laddish culture isn't necessarily always acceptable. Like, there are lines. Everybody, if you're with your friends and you're having a laugh and a joke and you know where the boundaries are, sometimes I think things get said that other people might overhear and think, well, that's out of order. But when it's your friends and you know that that's kind of what you might say with them. But there are times when somebody that you don't know feels that it's acceptable to say those things, and it doesn't hit in quite such the same way. And I think there's just that learning what is acceptable and teaching people that, and it has to start from a much earlier age. You know, you've got to teach anyone, regardless of who they are, to, you know, with a level of respect that you would want to receive yourself.
We shouldn't be just teaching our daughters and telling our female friends to defend themselves against this abuse. We should be teaching our sons and telling our male friends not to abuse women in the first place.
Yeah, there's a couple. The line, the boundary line. The problem I think a lot of people don't always understand is that boundary line is not fixed. It can be a little wavy line, and some days I might be able to say something, even here at home, and have a good old laugh about why the particular thing, the visitor wants my voice. It's all Eve's fault, and that could be a laugh one day and not a laugh the next day. So you've got to understand this boundary can move. So you might overhear someone saying something. If I hear one of your good mates saying something, and I think, oh, I can do that too. No, you can't do that. There's a long established friendship, and even within friends, they shouldn't do that. But it's just so hard. And also, I think I like to think myself as a decent bloke. I know sometimes I can be an arsehole, but I'm an equal opportunities arsehole, I hope. But I think the problem is we're the ones reading the messages and going, oh my God, we've got to change. Oh my God, this has got to happen. This has got to happen. But the ones doing it are not reading the same messages or having the same feelings. So it's so the educating, obviously I'm not dismissing that, as it's really important, but it's the people who need the proper educating, the same as, again, any other ism, racism as well, are just not going to hear the message.
That's where guys like you can help, though. I mean, if you are all sort of seeing these messages and you're all sort of taking them in and you're doing a bit to create a culture where that sort of behaviour isn't tolerated, because you can't tell the sort of people who want to go around grabbing women's asses at football, they're not going to stop because you tell them to stop, are they? They just do what they want to do. So, I mean, we need you guys to have our backs, basically. So if you're with your partner at football and someone grabs her ass, then I would say that, you know, report it to a steward. She should report if she feels comfortable doing it, but she might want you to back her up. And if they dismiss it, then you take it further up and report it to the club. And there's levels of escalation you can take it, but that's straight up, sexual assault.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think the first instinct is pretty much every bloke got give him a smack in the mouth, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't always work, and it's getting the right person, and it just escalates everything. And yeah, but it's just your normal straight away. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I've done it loads of times. I'm gonna do this. And you never do. It's all bravado bullshit, and it doesn't help the situation at all. You know that when you get home and sensibly think about it. I saw one. I think it might have been Kaz or a friend who tweeted it. It was one of the betting sites talking about the fixtures last weekend, going, I'll spare a thought for all the husbands and boyfriends who don't have the excuse to go to football to spend time on their own, down the pub on their own. They have to spend at home. And it's like, do you know what? Just change that to people. For all the people.
Some of the advertising industry have a lot to answer for. There is one, I think it's a betting site, who have an advert currently running on the television where they're getting ready to go out for a meal, and the babysitter cancels, and the wife stands there and removes her earrings about how they can't now go for dinner with her parents, and how it's all this really, really unfair. And he's sat behind her on the sofa, really, really jubilant, basically, that he can stay in and watch the football. And there is so much wrong with that narrative. It's unreal, and it infuriates me because it's the gender roles that we're pushing that just are bizarre to me. Also, that he doesn't turn around and go, "You go, I'll stay."
That's what I was thinking. I'd be like, "See ya, PlayStation time."
I'll stay.
Yeah, I'd be delighted.
It's always been, football is still very much. I know Sarah and I'd have many conversations about this for hours and hours on end. Football is still very much seen as a male environment, and those kind of gender stereotypes and stuff that we really need to just try and break down. I've lost count of the amount of times when I have been asked, why am I at a game? Which one of these are my boyfriend? Which one is my husband? Who am I with? Why am I here? And I just find that baffling, because you wouldn't ask a man that.
Yeah, I got that not too long ago. Someone came up to me before a game and sort of went, so I hope you don't mind me asking, but I've noticed you at games a lot, and I wondered what was your connection with the club? I mean, are you a player's wife? Or I'm like, what's your connection with the club? I'm a fan. I've been coming down here since 1995. It's just really weird.
It was at work, and I'm not going to say I'm a wonderful person for saying this. It goes back to the fact that I'm an arsehole, and I know that. But I overheard a lady saying that she was at a football, and the bloke was like, "Oh, you only go because you fancy the players," and I didn't know them very well, and the words were out of my mouth before I really went, "Oh no, come back." I was like, "And is that why you go as well then?" And he was mortified. The idea that he could be possibly gay was absolutely killing him. And it was like, well, there's two things there. That's your sexism, that's your homophobia brought right out now. And he ducks his head and doesn't talk to me anymore. I can't imagine why. But yeah, I'll give away the joke. I had built up a perfectly rubbish joke for introducing this segment and we're now going to talk about her game too. So ladies, who's going to explain the offside rule to me? Because that's the other classic.
I knew better than to do that, right?
No, because the next line was going to be, no, really. Explain the offside rule to me, because it's all over the place. I hate that as well. And I've done that. I've jumped on someone saying that, explain the offside rule. And I'm like, tell you what, you explain the offside rule.
Because it would shut them up. Yeah. I've had many memories of sitting at pub tables, moving the salt and pepper around and the pint of beer here and going, right, this is the defender, this is the goalkeeper.
I point blank was like, nah, you explain the offside rule to me first, and then I'll listen to her explanation. I'll tell you who's right, because I'll tell you now, 99% of people do not know the offside rule properly. So
well, it's pages and pages and pages and pages.
Absolutely. So
you can't really explain it word for word, can you?
No, absolutely not. What it is when the referee says you're offside, you're offside.
Yeah.
That's the offside rule.
Or not, depending on the level of
No.
referee.
If the referee says you're offside, you're offside. That's
For all
it.
intents and purposes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
The ref-
even if you're not actually technically offside, the ref says you are, makes a decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might as well be offside.
Yes. So obviously that subject has not been covered. We'll come back to it another time. I hope that I would be able to notice it and say things, but and I know you keep me on my toes about other things, Sarah, but if there's anything like that, keep me on my toes. Absolutely keep me on my toes about this as well, because if I do make any silliness like that, yes, I can always say, oh, it's a joke, but I'll have to revisit it because it's not funny to everyone.
Yeah, I think we need to. I mean, sorry to jump in, Mike, but you get that quite a lot. I mean, if we challenge, you kind of get a lot of, oh, you don't have a sense of humour, and you're no fun, blah 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 blah.
Banter.
The thing is, if you're going to make that sort of joke, then you are being sexist, and the joke is coming from a sexist place, and therefore the joke's only funny to you and people who think like you. So it's not really funny.
I genuinely, Twitter's like my resource, but I don't remember who did it, but I read it. Someone had said, and I can't remember what it was about. I think it was actually about racism, but it fits. And it was like, banter is like sex. You're both enjoying it. You're both having a laugh. If one of you is not enjoying it and not having a laugh, you're basically wanking, is what you're doing. And it's like, ooh, I like that. I shall store that away somewhere and use that one.
No, it's you're abusing someone, aren't you?
Yeah, so you're punching down. If punching down, yeah, and again, within friends, it can be funny every now and then, as long as they also get the opportunity to punch down on you another time. So it's that seesaw. It's nice, it's fun, but not if it's constant. But yeah, say make sure I'm on my toes about it, and I will be like always. I'll be defensive, and then I'll go, yeah, okay, you're right. But let's have a little quick chat about, well, not Bristol Rovers anymore, because that's not happening. It's hardly breaking news. I'm sure everyone knows it. It's just been postponed. So the next actual physical match that's going on, which I'm still not sure if I'm going to go to it because I still don't like Surrey FA, but is the Surrey County Cup, which is tomorrow. And now all of a sudden we're going to have a few more first teamers in it. Although I have to make sure, because Sarah's face is falling, it's not a first team match. It doesn't count as a first team match. So if Eastie plays in it, Eastie can play in it because he's not suspended and so on, and it won't count towards his suspension. So any thoughts on Sheerwater? Have you even heard of Sheerwater? I don't think we've played them ever.
I don't think we have either, actually. So these...
I took a punt there, didn't I? I was like, I was sitting there thinking, well, Sarah's going to come out and then a second go, well, actually, no, we played them 14 times.
I could be completely wrong, but I don't think we have played them before. A bit confusing because before the season, I'm sure we were told we're not taking part in this competition.
Yeah, we pulled out of it.
We are, and then we're told we're not because it doesn't count as a first team fixture. Therefore, the first team are not taking part in it. And now we're going to have first team players playing, but in the old days you'd have first team players turning up in the reserves every now and then, so it's like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they've said it's going to be a mixture of players who haven't played for a little while, so I think we might see Toby. I don't have any news on that, but he'll be players like Toby, Eastie play, and a couple of others that haven't had as many games recently. Well, actually, they've all
really view it, because if it's a team we've never played, or at least haven't played for a very, very long time, we've never played them, and we don't know who's going to be playing for us, and we don't know what they're like, the opposition. So it's a bit difficult to call it, isn't it?
Well, that's good, because I'm going to ask you for a prediction.
No idea who's playing. All right, we'll win 3-0. How about that?
3-0, okay.
I'm not entirely serious, but I've said it now.
Go on, Claire.
I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna go for a 3-1 win.
3-1. Okay.
Again, based on absolutely no knowledge of the opposition or who will be fielding in any way, shape, or form. But I'd like to say that we'll win because I know how much the Surrey Senior Cup means to some of our fans.
Yes.
So I'm keep putting that out there for cheekiness.
Okay. Well, my brilliant match modelling thing Surrey County Cup. You'd be surprised to know it's not in Football Manager, but I'm going to go with 4-1. So
Ooh.
even more confident. I've only got 2 results right since this whole thing I started this, so I wouldn't hold too much store in what I'm doing. Not scores right, results. That's just the way the match went. Do you want to give a prediction for Colchester, or is that too far in advance? I think it's 29th, isn't it? That
Which Colchester game? The league game.
the league game, yeah, the league one.
I'd quite like to see us. It's a shame we won't have a lot of sort of momentum going into that game because we won't have played for a little while.
We would have just won 4-1 in the Surrey County Cup. I just told
That
you.
was only a first team game. It's not a first team game. It's just I was. Do you want sorry to go back, but I can give you a fun fact about Sheerwater if you like, because I just looked them up on Wikipedia.
Oh, okay.
And it says on Wikipedia that
Yeah.
the Jam played some of their early gigs at the clubhouse because Sheerwater is actually in Woking where the Jam from. And Paul Weller, Bruce Foxton, and Rick Buckler all went to Sheerwater Secondary School, which is next door to the pub. So there you go. That's fun facts for you.
I think we might need to talk about definition of fun.
So much fun.
No, I can't talk because there's no fun on this show.
I mean, to the extent that you can have fun in Woking.
Yeah. Well, by that rationale, we've had John Major and they're Wallington, I suppose. Yeah, and that's Wallington. He went to what's that school in Wallington? I forget it. Wilson's, yeah. John Major went to Wilson's, apparently.
Yeah, but there are much more exciting people that went to Wilson's who have since, played for Sutton United and, so. Or the club photographer, there you go, he went to Wilson's.
Did he go to Wilson's? I didn't know that.
Did Matt Hanlon go to Wilson's, or did I imagine that?
I have no idea.
Maybe I imagined that.
You got to remember, I struggle to remember some of these players' names that play in the damn team now, let alone years ago what school they went to.
This is true.
Anyway, did you want to do a prediction for Colchester or not?
We could predict that both of our Colchester League fixtures are postponed because of COVID.
Oh.
It could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah. I'll give you that if you want. I'll put that down.
Did Colchester play at the weekend? I can't remember.
No. Their game hasn't been called off for Boxing Day yet.
Was that their postponement or someone else's postponement? Which end was that from?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
Man, you're getting detailed. You're going to do a Jarhead level of detail on this.
You need to predict something. I'm not going to be wrong, am I?
I'd like to think that we maybe a little bit of a rest over the festive period. Should the fixture then go ahead, that yes, we'll be lacking momentum, but a little bit of rest might do some of our injured players a bit of a favour. I wouldn't want to call a scoreline, but we had a good game when we were at their place, so it would be nice to see us maybe take another 3 points from them. But I'm not going to call a scoreline because it does feel a little bit far off yet, and the game might not happen as we said.
Yeah.
It's a sort of game. It's a sort of game that we kind of should be winning in our position. Really, no disrespect to Colchester, but it's a home game. We've lost a few of those that we should have won. But Oldham springs to mind.
Yeah, that was panic. That was pure panic.
Unpredictable season. We're like winning away at Northampton and we're losing to Oldham and that sort of thing. So it's quite hard to call these, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
like Claire said, I would like to see us take 3 points from that game, but who knows?
The season's super unpredictable because I know I'm joking, I say it, but Jarhead with his super precise prediction also said very clearly, no, we don't draw games. And then it was 2-2 at Bradford on that game. So that's like, yes, you got. How much of that did you get wrong? So let me just have a quick look. I did write some stuff down. I'm going to make sure we've got everything. We're not going to do the predictions. No, that's actually it. We've covered everything. That's amazing. Well done. Thank you for keeping me on track. That's brilliant. So was there anything else you guys wanted to say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed, yeah.
I had that written down. I did because I knew I'd forget. So I was just going to mention, everyone, if you want to follow any of the socials, it's at Sutton Podcast on Twitter, TikTok, which I've kind of lost interest in, Facebook and Instagram, which I don't do much on now either. Next one I've got coming up is going to be a little chap from Colchester. I don't know if he's little. He's a chap from Colchester. He's one of their reporters, so that should be interesting. And I'll be stumbling around with someone who knows what they're talking about again. And I was going to say thank you all for listening and Merry Christmas. God bless us, everyone. That's the other little bit I was going to add on there because I love Christmas Carol. I've watched about 7 or 8 versions of it already, but not the Muppets yet because I saved that for this week. Thank you very much, guys. See, I've done that again. I'm trying that at work. I'm stopping the guys. I know it's kind of got generic, but I've changed it to peeps. I sound really Harry Enfield, right? Peeps. But
Let's go with folks. But that doesn't sound right in everyone's mouth.
Yeah, peeps, folks. I think peeps works better because everyone's peeps, and folks does work as well. But I keep having to retype emails when I read it, going, "Oh yeah, take that out, take that out." Not because I'm trying to be all everyone. It's just, you know what? If it possibly upsets someone, I don't want to necessarily do it unless I'm doing it deliberately to upset someone, which it has been known to me deliberately annoy someone once or twice. Yeah, but usually they know. They know.
Personally, I think guys is okay if you're clearly just talking to women. If you say guys and you're talking to a kind of mixed audience, it might feel to some women like you're excluding them. But if you're only talking to women, then you can't.
I've always thought it just meant everyone, even young. I just kind of figured it meant everyone, but I get it. I do get it. I'm not all what's the word everyone uses as an assault or the woke, but it's that even now I'm like, no, that's not really an insult. Thank you. Anyway, I'm moving off topic. Thank you very much. Go and have some lovely dinner.
Cheers. It's been fun.
And take care. I won't see you on Boxing Day. I was never going to see you on Boxing Day anyway because that's an away game. But I might see you at the Colchester game, assuming it's all back on track.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great Christmas.
You too.
See you later.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
United!